Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Living with Intention. Today I'm going to be talking about self-care. Now this is a topic that has been very widely talked about, discussed, especially within the past couple of years, with discussions of mental health and well-being in general being brought to the forefront of media and of society in general. However, it's still a phrase that can bring with it some confusion, as other medias or other forms have tried to sort of capture it and make it their own, and this is something I'll go on to discuss in a bit. Starting off, I think that self-care is so important. Yes, it is important for us to give and share with others and to be of service to others, but it is also important, and as a very common saying goes, we need to fill up our own cup before we can fill up the cups of others. And that is exactly it. If we continue to work without looking after ourselves, then we will be burnt out. We won't be able to continue doing the amazing things we are doing for other people and for the world and all those sorts of things. Self-care is sometimes labeled or thought of as maybe a selfish act, that we should be giving back, that we should be there for other people if they need us, if they want us. And yes, we can be there, we can be present, we can be showing and in a place for these people, for our friends, but also it is important to recognize within ourselves when we just need that time to ourselves. And so I think one of the most important things about self-care is understanding ourselves, understanding our emotions, our feelings, understanding what is the difference between feeling a bit off and knowing that you need that night in or whatever it may be to really regenerate and just allow yourself to recover. And a really interesting aspect of that is meditation, I think, and understanding ourselves better, being able to sit with ourselves and really examine and observe our feelings and to better realize where is the discomfort, where is the struggle, where is it coming from, and what are the things that are making us feel that way, and therefore we can start to address them from that starting point. And I think it can be difficult sometimes with self-care because, as I said, with that aspect of people thinking it's selfish, we can often feel guilty about not showing up for others and having to cancel, whatever it may be. And self-care itself is not an excuse for us just to be like, oh, I'm not feeling in the mood for something, let me just say that I need to look after myself. It is just recognizing when you truly need that time, when you need to just say, and I've done it for family occasions, I've done it for friends where I've just said, look, I'm not feeling up to this, I know that I need to take this time for myself, and recognizing that and understanding that is really powerful. It can be so beneficial for us. So it's such an important practice of recognition and understanding and observation, and it can be so beneficial for us. If you are feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, drained, down, all these things, then maybe you need to look at why you're feeling like that, what is causing that, and then maybe look to take that time for yourself and sit with that. But I think it's all a balance, because sometimes actually going out, seeing those friends, being with those people can also be something so beneficial for us, and it can actually be a form of self-care in itself, with discussions of it and talking about how we're feeling in a space that we feel comfortable with. So I think there is a balance to be struck about what self-care includes. So for me, self-care is about thinking about what I'm putting into my body, thinking about sort of what emotions I've been exposed to, what people I've been exposed to. If you need to step back from certain people because they are, draining you of energy, or you're just not feeling super positive around them, then maybe that's what you have to do. And it's not about just excluding them completely. It can, if you have to do that, you have to do that. But it's about just recognizing like what is drawing energy away from you, like maybe dropping your positivity down, what are those things, and just examining it and sitting with it and being with it. And I think it's important to also recognize what self-care isn't. I was saying at the start of this conversation that self-care has sort of been hijacked. Well, one thing is that the capitalist system we live in looks to make money from these creations or these buzzwords, whatever it may be. We see it in sustainability with things being called eco, even though they've got no relation to eco. And we see things saying that like they are self-care, that we need to get them to look after ourselves. It's a massage chair, a set of candles, or whatever it is, that we need that. And we don't. One thing that is really common in our society is that people go for retail therapy. They buy things to make themselves feel better. But actually, buying something won't make you feel better. Maybe it does for maybe a max a week. But ultimately, when you're feeling off, when you're feeling down, there is going to be something that has sparked that, something that you need to explore and examine. You need to sit with those feelings, and looking to the external to solve these things is not always going to help, and it's not going to address the real cause of your upset, what you were going through. And I'm not saying you can't buy certain things, but just be present and aware to the fact that there are ideas within society like retail therapy that are there to captivate us and draw us in and say that if we buy this we will feel better, which is not the case in the long term. And we need to just be aware of that and really focus on what does make us think. What are the things that bring us joy? You know, is it being in nature? Is it playing music, listening to it? Is it journaling? That's one that I found so powerful for myself, in putting pen to paper and actually allowing me to express emotions in a way that I can't vocalize to people, or even I wouldn't be able to vocalize because I wouldn't be aware of. That is so powerful. It could be through things like dancing, it could be cold showers, it could be sport, it could be sitting down on the couch and knowing that you're sort of being overwhelmed with emotion and watching a sad film just to, get yourself to that place where you can release those emotions. That is something I've done before, and I always find it really powerful. So these are the sort of things we need to look at in self-care: is what brings me joy? What are the things that I can cultivate, the habits I can continue to do in this moment where I need this self-care? And yes, sometimes we don't want to go out, sometimes we don't want to do these things, and that is fine too. But it's just finding that balance and really listening to ourselves and tuning in. In a world that tells us to go to the external, we must instead focus on the internal and these things that are affecting us and why they're affecting us and how we can overcome that, or how we can work to move to another state where we don't feel this way. And I think, like I said at the start, self-care it's so important for us, but also we need to create this communal care, this idea that, we can have self-care for everyone and that it's accessible for them, and that we can all be there for each other, helping lift each other up through the actions we take. And so I think we need both of these, and we can, support others and continue to be of service to them, and then also be of service to ourselves and support ourselves in what we do. I think a lot of this comes down to being able to recognize and listen to ourselves and be in tune with our bodies as to when we need this time for ourselves, and what we can do to make ourselves, feel that nourishment that we need, that regenerative capacity from the things we do. And like I said, there's so many things that we can do. Just try and explore different ones, see what works for you, and that's where I find definitely benefits in those things that I listed, and hopefully you will too. And if there's something that you're interested in or you haven't quite touched on, drop me a message, drop me a comment below, and we can talk about it, and we can discuss self-care practices, what your thoughts are on them, and also sort of what you can incorporate to have this better understanding maybe of yourself, your emotions, and what can help you to look after yourself in this way. I think another thing about self-care is that we often think of it has to be like a long weekend to ourselves or a long period of time. Self-care could simply be 5 minutes at the start of the day to do a meditation practice or a yoga, 5, 10, 15, whatever you can manage, to yourself, knowing that, if we look after ourselves, we can then begin to look after others around us as well. And I think that is so important, and recognizing that you are incredible, you are amazing, and that you are worth investing time into yourself. You are worthy of that love, that self-love, and that self-care that you are going to give yourself. And just knowing that, and knowing that it will be so beneficial for you, and just understanding that and recognizing it is so important, because it is. And what I want you to do if you're watching this video is pick out 1 or 2 things this week that you are going to do that is going to help to cultivate a self-care practice. So maybe it is that 5 minutes after you wake up. Don't look at your phone, take 5 minutes, meditate, yoga, read, journal, music, whatever you want to do, go do it, and just know that you're doing it for yourself, and that is so powerful. And there is time in the day. Yes, some of us have less, some of us have more, some of us have lots of different challenges, and each person is different, but for sure, at least try and cultivate and create that 5 minutes for yourself. And just let me know in the comments what you're going to do with your week. What are the things you're going to take on? But anyway, that is it from me. I hope you found the video beneficial. I think in this environment where there's so much exposure to negative news, and it can feel overwhelming in the world sometimes. I think it's so important to have a self-care practice where we look after ourselves and come back to where we look after ourselves and take time to realize that we are worth it, and that it will help us in all aspects of our lives if we are working on improving ourselves and looking after ourselves, because that's what we need to do, and that will allow us to better look after those around us and the planet we live in and the animals and everything like that. But yeah, I hope you have an amazing week. I hope those self-care practices serve you well, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you soon. Bye. I know I should take a break. I feel it in my body as it tries to communicate and speak to me. Even my breaths are deep, as if they are calling me to rest. See, I've been rushing around all of this commotion from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, as I continue to neglect my emotions. And now they rush in on me. Overwhelmed, rough seas in my head, I try to steady my mind. We are told to buy and treat ourselves, but this trick isn't that long-term fix. So I go back to those simplicities that help me to be at ease. Meditate and breathe, move, play, eat clean. Speaking my thoughts and caring for those around me. We have to take that time for ourselves to look after both our physical and mental health. How can I hope to help you if I can't even get myself through? So I'll take some time to realign and reflect, because we all need some self-care.